Hello everybody. So as landscape photographers, we're told that we should shoot at the beginning and at the end of the day. And while that is good advice because the light can be so beautiful then, there are times when you want to shoot in the middle of the day. And I'm going to give you some ideas in this video about what you can shoot in the middle of the day. So don't shoot in the middle of the day. Is that good advice? Well, yeah, of course it is, because the light is at its most harsh, isn't it? And you don't really want harsh light for good photographs. But there are times when certain conditions look at their best in the middle of the day. And I've got at least two, hopefully I'm going to find another one in this video. The first one is about having high overhead sun makes the sea look really beautifully blue. So let's go and see if I can prove that to you. What a fantastic time of year. This is probably my favourite, spring, and the sea pinks are out. I'm right on the edge of a cliff here, but it's fairly safe. And look at these sea pinks, aren't they fantastic? So I'm taking my own advice, which is get the camera out, get the composition sorted out before you put the tripod down. So if you're a beginner watching this, you might come here and most beginners just take a shot like this. They're taking it at eye level all the time, and that's no good because you really need to get down low for some shots, up high for other shots, but this is definitely a one for getting down as low as possible and get as close as you can as well. One of the rules of photography that I learned long ago was get closer, and I think that's a very good rule. One rule, which is really bad, is always have the sun behind you. That's an old rule, but from back in the 1960s. And the light is a bit too harsh here today to get the pinks looking at their best and the engine house looking at its best. But the sea looks beautifully blue because it's the middle of the day. So if you want your sea to look really beautifully blue and you want your images to have that kind of you're on holiday look, then middle of the day is the best. So don't do this. Get down, get down, get down. Whoops, sorry, wobbly video. I'm on the edge of a cliff, as I said. So you want something a bit more like this. I think that's a better shot, but I'm going to try and balance it up better so that the pinks are in one location on the, yeah, I think that's better. I want some sea. I want the pinks to be dominant in the frame. And then I want that beautiful blue sky in the middle of the day. This is where a tripod with no central column becomes really useful, because you can splay the legs wide and get the tripod down completely flat and as close to these pinks as possible. Nice. Oh yeah, that's what we want, something like that. Without damaging the plants, of course. So this shot will hopefully prove that that the sea looks wonderfully blue in the middle of the day, but I must admit, you really want side lighting for the engine house, and you really want side lighting for these. So, but anyway, that's not the point of this video. So I'll shut up now and take a shot and let you see it. Now, where should you focus for a shot like this? If you don't know how to do focus stacking, then just where would you focus? the most important part for me is the foreground. So I would focus about halfway up and focus on the sea pinks, and then it doesn't really matter too much if the engine house is slightly soft. So I'm going to shoot at f8, but I'm going to wait for a good wave because the waves are in the bottom left corner of the frame. There's one. Right, that should be a good shot. I'm just going to review it. Obviously, if you know how to focus stack, you can just now take one focused on the actual engine house itself and then combine those two images later on in Photoshop. Oh, sea pinks. Oh, yes. And being here by the sea, fantastic. So, yeah, what was the point of this video? Oh, yeah, middle of the day. It's tough doing these YouTube videos, you know, you've got to come up with a good idea that will be a catchy thing for people to click on so that you get enough views to make it worthwhile. So middle of the day shooting definitely is great for coastal photography where you want the sea to look really blue, because at the ends of the day the sea just does not look this blue. Just seen a buzzard, a chough, and my first swallow of the year, which is pretty good for April the 9th. I love Cornwall, it's so fantastic. What a place to live, I'm so fortunate. So the first part of my video was about coming to shoot at midday because the sea looks really blue. But I just met one of the locals and she said she's a bit concerned that the sea's looking a bit green because there's a lot of algae in it at the moment. And there's a massive bloom of algae going all the way down the coast, and she was hoping that it wouldn't put the tourists off. And I just thought, oh, that's just typical, isn't it? There's me trying to do a video to prove to everyone how blue the sea is. Never mind. The great Indian spiritual master, Avatar Meher Baba, said, real happiness lies in making others happy. When I first heard that, I used to think, I was a lot more selfish, 20 odd years ago. When I first heard it, I thought, nah, I got to make sure I'm happy, that. But nowadays, I'm thinking more and more that it's completely and utterly true. And I remember a wonderful time in my life. Being here reminds me of being with my wife, and her ashes, God bless her, are in the sea over there. Because this was one of our favourite places and she wanted her ashes to be in the sea there. And real happiness lies in making others happy. I remember once we had our bank accounts separate from each other. Sue had this ropey old car and she knew she had to get a new one. She had £2,000 to spend and I hadn't said anything at all, and I knew she liked the colour purple. So I found this really nice little purple car online and it was £7,000. And I said, hey Sue, come and have a look at this car on the internet, on my computer. She came in and she said, oh yeah, that's lovely. She said, but it's £7,000. And I said, that's all right, you put 2 in and I'll give you the 5. And you should have seen the look on her face. One of the happiest times of my life was to be able to do that for her. I know we were married anyway, and but the point is, she just wasn't expecting it. It was just, instead of me spending it on camera gear or something selfish, I was thinking of her and I did something for her, and especially now that she's gone, I really am so pleased I did that. So real happiness lies in making others happy. Another good thing to do in the middle of the day is to go scouting, just looking for good locations. I've done that so many times. I remember the best time I ever did it was when I was with my wife and she wanted to go shopping in Somerset. And I don't like shopping. So I said, you go shopping and I'll pick you up in about an hour. So I just went off and walked up through these hills in near Glastonbury, and I thought, that might be a good hill to take a picture of Glastonbury Tor. So I got up to this hill and I had a look and I thought, yeah, it was really harsh, midday, and there were I just thought this is ideal. If you could have some mist here, it would be absolutely ideal. And it took me several months before I finally got around to taking the shot, but I'll show you that shot now because it was a real special one. A great thing to do in the middle of the day, especially when it's a blue sky and there's absolutely no cloud at all, is to come to a harbour and catch boat reflections. They can look really good as abstracts. You need a long lens for this, and because the water's moving a lot, you probably need to take several shots. As you can see, the camera's jerking around because I'm on a floating harbour at the moment. A floating, I guess it's called a flotilla or something like that. Anyway, this where I am now is floating. So it keeps getting jerked as the boats hit it. So it's quite difficult to get a steady shot, but so I put the ISO up to 200 so I can get a faster shutter speed. I've gone to one stop under to get an even faster shutter speed. And I'm just finding the most colourful parts of the ripples in the water. And some of them are really good. I mean, it's very much an abstract shot, but I like it. So see what you think. You definitely want a blue sky day for this because you want blue water. You don't want grey water because obviously if you've got grey cloud you're going to get grey reflected in the water. This is a kind of shot where you want bright colours, I think. So just found some more boats, 5 gigs in a row, but only 2 or 3 of them are really colourful. So I'm going to focus in on them. Perhaps use a bit of the hull as well as the reflection itself. Bit of a breeze at the moment, so I'm just going to wait for a lull in the breeze. And I'm focusing on the hulls of the boat for this shot. So hopefully that will make for a better image, because it doesn't really matter so much if the ripply water is not quite as sharp as the rest of it. But I'm still going to use a medium aperture of f8 to see if that works. So I've zoomed into 250mm now. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like that. There's a bit of empty space, so I might have to crop it when I get back to the office. Yeah, now I'm going to zoom in just on the boats themselves with a little bit of reflection. So I love these blue colours, and the bit of yellow in the water really adds to it. So focusing on the hull of the boat. I'm going to take a few just to choose the one with the best ripples. 2-second timer. I'm going to take one focused on the actual reflections themselves, just in case that works. Done. Just came across these containers that are multicolours, and before you think, oh no, Tony's lost the plot again, it's the reflections I'm after. So I love the colours of these. These have got nets and things like that in, and baskets for presumably fish, but the reflections are pretty good, look. So I just got to make some kind of sense of the composition. Let's zoom out a bit more. That's pretty nice. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I think I want to zoom in a lot more. I prefer reds and greens than yellows personally, but there you go. It's all personal taste, isn't it? So I'm going to zoom into about there. And one of these containers says Biffa on it, which is a local company which picks up waste. So I want to make sure that the ripples in the water hide that fact. So Yeah, I'm going to take several just to make sure I get one that isn't like that. Right, I'll just quickly show you how I'm going to sort these two images out. So I've opened both images. So here's the one focused on the sea pinks, and it looks fine, but as you can see, the engine house is just completely soft. So that's no good. I mean, I think that's better than this one, which is where I focused on the engine house and the sea pinks are soft. I think I'd rather have the first one, but we're going to get the best of both worlds. So I'm going to go to edit. Sorry, no, I'm not going to go to select all. Copy, which is edit copy, and then I'm going to paste one image on top of the other. So I've got the sharp engine house on the top now, as you can see. I'm going to select both of those layers on the right hand side, and I'm going to go to edit, auto align layers, and auto OK. Wait for it to do its thing. So now I can just select the top layer, and I know that I need to erase using the eraser tool, which is E on the keyboard, and I want a hardness of 0. So now I just need to erase, and I'm going to just do it quickly just to show you the soft sea pinks to show the really nice sharp sea pinks underneath. So now if I take the eyelet off there, you can see that's the way I've drawn. So I know that everything here is going to be sharper underneath. So now I can just erase all of that. You can see it's given me a white line around the edge of the frame. That's where it's just aligned the layers, because when you focus in different places, the whole image just shifts a little bit. So there we are. Well, now we've got the top layer, and if I take that off again, yeah, you can see I just need to crop in a little bit. But anyway, up there, click on that, flatten image, and now I need to choose C on the keyboard for a crop tool, choose 2 to 3 or 3 to 2, switch it around, and now I need to just crop in a tiny little bit so I know I haven't got those white edges around the corner, around each edge. So that's cropped. So that's all looking good. Now the horizon's perfectly level, and we've got one sharp image now, which has got a sharp image on the sea pinks and sharp on the engine house. It was just done roughly. I'd obviously take more time normally over this, but you can see how the engine house is just slightly leaning over to the right hand side. So I'm going to select all again, Control T, which is transform, and I'm going to click skew, and I'm just going to skew the bottom of the image just to straighten the engine house out. Now I chose the bottom because this grass in the corner is fairly irrelevant anyway, isn't it? So I'm just going to do that, and now that should be it. Control D to deselect. There we are, one perfectly sharp image with beautiful blue sea that you only get in the middle of the day. So look at that picture. It does make you feel warm, doesn't it? It's got a kind of a warmth to it because it's taken near the middle of the day, and the sea looks beautifully blue like it does in these pictures, because although they might not be right in the middle of the day, like this one, look how the sea is so beautifully blue, whereas this shot now later in the day, the sea just doesn't look blue. It's still a good shot, but it's not blue. And these pictures are fairly evening-ish, but because of the beautiful blue sky, it just makes it look kind of happier and more holiday-ish. Whereas if you take the shots like these at the end of the day, it just doesn't have that same kind of feeling of being hot and having a really enjoyable day out. So there are two main ideas in this video. One is to take pictures of the sea looking nice and blue, and the other one is to take pictures of reflections in a harbour. Now I was going to do more, but this video's got to be uploaded within the next few hours, so I've got to finish it now. Oh, the pressures of a YouTuber. And yeah, have you got any ideas for things that you can shoot in the middle of the day? Because I can certainly include them in a future video, and it'd be great to hear. So please do drop a comment in the box below.